Hi, welcome to episode 36 of Cilium Weekly, a weekly show where I cover a new Cilium feature. And today I'm going to cover Multi-Pool IPAM. And IPAM is IP address management, and that's a key responsibility of CNI in the world of Kubernetes. And Cilium already supports several different ways to allocate IP addresses to pods as they're being created. You can look in the docs, you will see support Kubernetes host scope, cluster scope, CR debugged, and then we also support some specific models when you run Cilium in the cloud. But the typical one will be host scope or cluster scope, which is the default one. And host scope, you've got like a big, essentially network IP range, CIDR, which is then carved out to each of your pods. And then you get the cluster scope, which is a bit more flexible, where you can assign multiple IP ranges to your cluster, multiple CIDR. But with Multipool, you can have even more flexibility and granularity. So you can have multiple CIDR per node, and even better, you have this dynamic CIDR and IP allocation, which means that you can really scale up the range of IP addresses you provide to your cluster as the number of pods in your environment grows. So, and we'll have a look in the demo coming now. So what I've got here is a Kubernetes cluster running on Kine. I've got 3 nodes. And Cilium has been deployed and it's healthy. And I'm using Cilium version 1.14.1. That feature actually came out with version 1.14. And so the way Multipool works is you will have a default pool from which your pods will pick up an IP address unless they have specific annotation, or unless the namespace that they are being deployed into has a specific annotation, and therefore they will pick an IP address from a specific pool. Now let's have a quick look here. I don't have any pods deployed yet, but I've got a default IP pool called default. And that IP pool is 10.10.0.0/16, and you can see there's a mask size of 27. So when we deploy a pod that needs an IP address from the default pool, we will carve out a /27 out of the /16, and we'll assign it to one of the nodes. So let's have a look now. If I go ahead and create a pod, and let's have a look. It's picked up an IPA which is 10.10.0.52, right? So what actually happened, let's have a look at the Kine worker node where the pod has been created. We've carved out a /27, 10.10.0.32/27, and that's reserved for our pods. And as you can see that my engine export has picked up an IP address from that range. Now that works great. Now, let's have a look now if I want to add another pool of IP. And I've created this pool called Multipool, and I've created a CIDR of 10.23.0.0/16, and I see mask size of 28, which gives me 14 usable IP addresses. And again, when I deploy a pod that is going to pick up an IP address, we will carve out a /28 out of that /60. And I'm creating a deployment with a couple of replica of the pod, and I'm actually adding this annotation to my pod template. You can see this is a key annotation, which means that we will pull IP addresses from the range which is defined here. So let's go ahead and apply the Multipool and deployment. And again, we are going to see containers are being created. But again, here what we're doing is we are carving out actually 2/28, one for the current worker and one for the current worker 2. Here we go. So 10.23.0.10 and 10.23.0.20. Now again, if I look at my Cilium nodes, I can see that a 10.23.0.16/28 has been carved out for me. And there will be another one here, 10.23.0.0/28. So that's how we've been able to allocate IP addresses from a different range to our pods by adding an annotation to my pod manifest. And again, that works great, as you can see. Now, what's even more interesting is what happens when I start needing more than what I've been given, right? If we need more than the 14 IP addresses available in that /28. So let's have a quick look. Let's go ahead and just scale our deployment, right? Let's scale this up to 40 replicas. And now let's see what happens, right? So we are asking for more IP addresses than that we currently have. Right, it will take a little while for all the containers to be created. Okay, so still ongoing, but what you can see now is we see IP addresses that were outside of the initial range of IP which was given to the Cilium nodes. So what happened then? So we've added, again, because we saw what was needed, we needed 40 IP addresses because again, we had all this, 20 on each node. And therefore we needed to add more IP CIDR ranges to our nodes. So that's how we've added the 10.23.0.48/28 and the 10.23.0.32/28 to our nodes. And that's pretty cool, and I think it just shows how you can add more granularity to how you assign IP addresses to your pods using the new Multipool feature on Cilium. And that's all for today. See you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching.